Good day everyone, I'm Maricelene P. Quindosa, and for today, we will learn about the mandatory study of the Philippine Constitution, other constitutional mandates as part of the curricula, religious instruction in the Philippines, Filipino citizens' ownership and management of educational institution, and exemptions from taxes and duties. First is the mandatory study of the Philippine Constitution. The Constitution mandates under Section 3 that all educational institutions shall include the study of the Constitution as part of the curricula. The goal of this provision is for us to become aware of the fundamental law and the principles it upholds. It is from these concepts that the citizens learn the Bill of Rights, social justice, citizenship, and national patrimony. And from learning these concepts, we become aware of our rights and obligations. For instance, ever since we started studying in preschool or kinder, our teachers taught us some basic rights, concepts about citizenship, and love for our country. We may not know it during those times because we are young, but little by little, they are integrating this constitution, this provision as part of our learning. For example, in flag ceremony. Flag ceremonies, we learn that upon hearing the national anthem, we should stop whatever it is that we are doing, stand properly, place our right hand on our left chest, and sing with the hymn of our national anthem. It is an example of becoming aware of our rights and obligations. In addition, reciting the Panunumpa ng Katapatan sa Watawat ng Pilipinas and Panatang Makabayan also helps us understand the things that we can do for our nation as Filipino citizens. So, as a result, we can say that studying the Constitution is a tool for learning good citizenship and better participation in governance and nation building. Other constitutional mandates as part of the curricula. To make all the citizens know their basic role in nation building, the Constitution requires that all educational institutions shall first inculcate patriotism and nationalism. So, what is the difference between patriotism and nationalism? Patriotism is the love or devotion for one's country. On the other hand, nationalism is the feeling of being proud or loyal to one's country with the belief that it is better than the other countries. So this is also the reason for including in the curricula the study of the Philippine Constitution, Philippine history, the life and works of Jose Rizal, and other social sciences. In our experience during high school or even in elementary, our AP teachers made us watch some historic films, some films about our national heroes, and it is not only for entertainment. They made us watch those films because they want us to learn something from that, how the Filipinos fight for our independence and how we can show the love for our country. So it is a way of making us understand patriotism and nationalism. So upon learning these concepts, we are expected to show better relationship with our country. We are expected to show love and loyalty to our country. Second, foster love of humanity, respect for human rights, and appreciate the role of national heroes in the historical development of our country. All educational institutions are also mandated to teach love of humanity. It means that we should care, enhance, and empower people despite of diversity. It also means that we should treat everyone with respect despite of the differences in our culture, ethnicity, or religion. Next is respect for human rights. It is said that when learners are taught to respect human rights, they treat everyone with dignity. As the saying goes, that we should treat others the way we wanted to be treated. Of course, we don't want to be treated badly, so in return, we should treat everyone with respect. So, as we grow older, we are expected to show kindness, benevolence, and goodwill. Also, we should appreciate the role of national heroes in the historical development of our country. It includes the life and works of Jose Rizal, how we achieved our independence, and the other contributions of Filipinos in the past, in our history. And until now, it is still significant in our time because we learn from them, we learn how to love our country and how to show respect to our great heroes. Third, teach the rights and duties of citizenship. In school, we are taught to do good things so that when we grow older, we will still be able to express ourselves as good citizens. Also, in school, we are taught to obey rules and regulations of our teachers, and it serves as a practice so that when we go in a wider community, we will still be able to perform our duties correctly. It includes obeying laws, paying our taxes correctly, and helping in the maintenance of peace and order in the community. Fourth is strengthen ethical and spiritual values. It is a key component to having a well-rounded personality. It will help us distinguish right from wrong and good from bad. Also, it will help us understand our moral duties. Fifth, develop moral character and personal discipline. It is important to develop moral character because it affects how other people see us as a person. It affects how they view our personality. And personal discipline must be present at all times because it will help us make better decisions and reasonable actions. Sixth, encourage critical and creative thinking. Our teachers help us develop our critical and creative thinking in terms of problem solving. With the use of imagination, we can create innovative solutions to our problems that concerns our lives. Next is broaden scientific and technological knowledge. It is said that science and technology is a foundation. Next is broaden scientific and technological knowledge. It is said that science and technology is the foundation of a progressive society. It is true, and our teachers help us by engaging us in research so that we can form solutions to various problems in our society. Last is promote vocational efficiency. In the Philippine society, it is very important to have more manpower to propel development. It may include the programs of TESDA, including the dressmaking, automotive, metalworks, and other vocational trainings that will help improve our manpower. Religious instruction in the Philippines. In recognition of the separation between the church and the state and with due respect to the plurality of religious beliefs in the country, the 1987 Philippine Constitution prescribes optional religious instruction in public elementary and secondary schools. However, optional religious instruction in all public schools must satisfy the following requirements. A. It shall be taught within the regular class hours. B. The parents or guardians express their desire in writing that their children or wards may be taught religion in schools. C. The instructors must be designated or approved by the religious authorities of the religion to which the children or wards belong. D. No additional expense or cost is incurred by the government for such teaching like payment for light, water, and other facilities. One example of this is our subject during our elementary years, which is called Christian Living. In our school, it is only on Wednesdays and of course during the regular class hours. The religious instructors are not forcing us to attend, but we have permission from our parents. They are not forcing those students with different religions to participate in such religious activities. And of course, there is no added expenses given by the government to the religious instructors. This provision is another way of recognizing the separation between the church and the state. No public fund shall be appropriated to support a specific religion. Next is Filipino citizens' ownership and management of educational institutions. Under this is the 1987 Philippine Constitution that specifies that the general ruling for the ownership as well as control and administration of educational institutions in the Philippines is that at least 60% of the capital is owned by the Filipinos. There are three aspects of education that are Filipinized according to Bernas 2002. First is ownership, second is control and administration, and third is the learner population. All these three aspects signifies or emphasizes that Philippine schools are for Filipinos. So we have a question here. Are schools for the aliens or foreigners prohibited in the Philippines? When we say the term aliens, it doesn't mean that it is someone from outer space. Aliens refers to foreigners or people from other countries. So, is it really prohibited in the Philippines for them to study in Philippine schools? So, the answer is no. Aliens and foreigners are allowed to study in Philippine schools, but the Constitution prohibits that no educational institution must be established exclusively for aliens. There must be no specific school that is intended for foreigners only. Congruently, no group of aliens shall constitute more than one-third or 33% of the enrollment in any educational institution created for aliens. Next question is, what happens to schools established for foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents? Are they exempt from the rule of Filipinization? So, according to Bernas 2002, foreign diplomatic personnel and their dependents are exempt from the rule on Filipinization of ownership, control and administration, and learner population. So, they are not included in the topics that are mentioned earlier. Unless otherwise provided by law, the same rules apply to other temporary residents. Larger share of ownership, control, and administration of Philippine schools are given to the Filipinos to assure that Philippine schools are for the Filipinos. So as I said earlier, Philippine schools are for the Filipinos and Filipinos knows what's best for their fellow men. So, the larger share of ownership, control, and administration are only given to our fellow Filipinos, and it cannot be like other foreigners or person from other countries with different nationality will own a school and control its administration. Next topic is exemptions from taxes and duties. As a rule, all public and private educational institutions are exempted from paying realty tax and tax exemptions to all grants, endowments, donations, and contributions. It means that schools are no longer need to pay taxes because they are helping the government by educating the citizens, and eventually educated citizens will help our country develop. So, non-stock and non-profit educational institutions can also enjoy exemptions from taxes and duties for as long as revenues and assets shall be used directly and exclusively for educational purpose according to the 1987 Philippine Constitution. So, the non-stock and non-profit educational institutions can still enjoy these exemptions from taxes and duties as long as they are not using it for private purposes or personal purposes or for generating profit. It is indicated here that the purpose is directly and exclusively for educational purpose. Using it contrary to this purpose, for example, generating profit, shall not make the school avail of such tax exemption. However, all these tax exemptions can be extended to proprietary educational institutions like profit-oriented schools, including those owned by cooperatives, subject to the limitations provided by the law or upon requirement or an implementing law in this regard.
Loco parentis principle, other accountabilities of persons with special authority, educational provisions of the Civil Code of the Philippines, learner discipline from the Civil Code of the Philippines, laws on the professionalization of teaching, and the highlights of Presidential Decree 1006. So, dito sa loco parentis principle, dito kapag ang menor de edad na bata ay ipinagkatiwala ng mga magulang sa isang paaralan, ang mga magulang ay na nagtalaga sa paaralan ng ilang mga responsibilidad para sa kanilang mga anak at ang paaralan ay may ilang pananagutan. For example, yung isang nanay, pinag-aral yung kanilang anak tapos nasa loob siya ng campus. Tapos pag may nangyaring masama dun sa bata, may pananagutan yung school dahil hinabilin or binigay ng isang nanay yung responsibilities dun sa school o sa isang guro. Next is other accountabilities of persons with special authority. Sabi sa Article 221 of the Family Code of the Philippines na yung mga magulang daw at ibang tao ay dapat mapag-aralan at pangalagaan mabuti ang pagkakaroon ng isang responsibilidad. Dahil once na may mangyari sa batang halimbawa hinabilin sa iyo, ikaw lang yung mananagot kasi wala nang ibang sisisihin dahil ikaw sa iyo pinagkatiwala yung responsibilidad na yun. Next is educational provisions of the Civil Code of the Philippines. Learner discipline from the Civil Code of the Philippines, letter A, is according in Article 349, ang pangunahing tao daw na maaaring sumubstitute or humalili dun sa parental authority ay una ay yung guardians, pangalawa ay teachers and professors, pangatlo is heads of children's home or orphanage and similar institutions, pang-apat ay yung directors of trade establishment with regard to apprentices, 5 is yung grandparents, and 6 ay yung matatandang kapatid, kuya man or ate. Next is letter B. So, sa ilalim nga ng Civil Code ng ating bansa, itinakda ng Article 352 ang ugnayan sa pagitan ng guro at ng mag-aaral na may regulation na ang gobyerno at ng bawat paaralan or institution. Kaya sa ay mayroong dalawang otoridad na nagtatakda ng relasyon sa pagitan ng mga mag-aaral at ng mga guro. Bukod dito, pinagbabawal din ng parehong civil code ang pagpapataw ng corporal punishment. So dito, in no case shall corporal punishment be countenanced. Dapat linangin ng mga guro o professor ang pinakamahusay na potensyal ng puso at isip ng mga mag-aaral. So ito yung general statement ng isang article. So sa letter C naman, sa Article 358, ito yung nagtatakda na ang bawat magulang at bawat taong may hawak or substitute sa authority ng magulang, tinitiyak nila mga karapatan ng bawat bata ay ginagalang at kanilang mga tungkulin ay natapos nila ng tama. At halimbawa, alagaan ang mga bawat bata ng mayroong mataas na pag-iisip or mayroong pagmamahal sa bayan, hindi lang sa bayan pati na rin sa kanyang profesyon. Sinabi din dito na ang paggalang sa pambansang bayani, katapatan sa demokrasya bilang isang paraan ng pamumuhay, at kalakip sa ideal na permanenteng mundong may kapayapaan. So sa pagkakaintindi ko dito, example si Dr. Jose Rizal, di ba naging isang guro siya, nagkaroon siya ng parental authority sa mga estudyante na tutukan at talagaan ng tama ang mga bata. Sa pamagitan nun, nagsaserve or binansagan natin ang mga guro na isang hero kasi bukod sa pagtuturo sa atin ng mga kaalaman, nagtuturo din sila kung paano patunguhan at mahalin ang ating sariling bansa. Next is vicarious liability. Dito naman sa vicarious liability, dito napapasok yung salitang kapabayaan. For example, hindi pa nagsisimula yung klase tapos yung isang estudyante ay naglalaro sa isang field ng paaralan. Sa hindi inaasahang pagkakataon, yung bata ay nabagok yung ulo, parang hindi mo masisisi sa isang guro dahil hindi pa naman oras ng klase niya, though nakasalalay sa isang paaralan o sa isang guro, hindi pa rin ito may isisi dahil hindi naman sa lahat ng oras matututukan nila yung iisa lang na mag-aaral dahil once and for all, maraming sections ang hawak ng mga guro, hindi lang yung isang bata. Next is laws on the professionalization of teaching. Highlights of Presidential Decree 1006. Presidential Decree number 1006 ay kilala bilang providing for the professionalization of teachers, regulate their practice in the Philippines, and for other purposes. Ang promulgation ng batas na ito ay nilatag noong September 24, 1976. Ito ay formal na inorganisa ng National Board for Teachers. Ito din yung unang lupo na nagpatupad ng regulatory management sa profesyon ng pagtuturo sa ilalim ng pangangasiwa ng Civil Service Commission or CSC. Next is, dito naman sa highlights ng Presidential Decree of 1006, idineklara nito ang isang patakaran na ang edukasyon ng isang teacher ay bigyan dapat ng pangunahing alalahanin at atensyon ng isang government at dapat na may pinakamataas na kalidad at malakas na nakatuon sa mga kondisyon ng Pilipinas at sa mga pangangailangan at hiin ng sambayan ng Pilipino. Gaya natin kahit na ito ay naghahangad ng pagpapayaman mula sa adaptable na mga ideya at gawin ng ibang tao. So, how do Presidential Decree number 1006 help you to become a professional teacher? So, dito naman kapag pumasa ka or pumasa yung examinist sa pagsusulit or sa exam ng mga guro, sila ay magiging qualified para sa pagpaparehistro bilang isang professional na guro at kung saan bibigyan ng certificate ng professional teachers. Ginawa din ng Presidential Decree 1006 ang lisensya ng mga guro bilang isang pangangailangan para sa kanilang pagtuturo.
Good day everyone. Today we will learn about the powers of the National Boards of Teachers as stipulated in Presidential Decree number 1006, passing the board examination, highlights of Republic Act number 7836, objectives of Republic Act number 7836, and the Board for Professional Teachers and its composition. So first is the powers of the National Board of Teachers as stipulated in Presidential Decree number 1006. As stated in Section 4 of the decree, the National Board of Teachers has the following duties and powers. So first, they have the power to appoint a set of examiners for every examination who will determine and prepare the contents of the board examination for teachers hereinafter referred to as examination in the elementary and secondary levels of instruction to be held at least once a year. It means that the member of the National Board of Teachers have the power, they have the right to appoint or to assign someone that will serve as an examiner and someone who will check the standard and accuracy of the content of the board exam. Second is determine and fix the places and dates of examination. It means that they have the right to set the exact date and time to when and where the examination will take place. And next is appoint supervision and room examiners from among the employees of the government who shall be entitled to a daily allowance to be fixed by the board for every examination they actually attended. And next is use the buildings and facilities of public and private schools for examination purposes. So, in some cases, they need to set some other places like other public schools as a place for examination. Then, next is approve applications to take examinations. Of course, they have the screening to whom or who will qualify in taking the examination, and lastly, approve the release of examination results. So, letter C, look from time to time into the conditions affecting the practice of the teaching profession, adopt such measures as may deem proper for the enhancement of said profession and or maintenance of the professional standards and ethics. So, they have the right to monitor from time to time the conditions that affects the teaching profession, and they will formulate solutions, and they will formulate solutions that will solve their problems and innovate more effective techniques to improve system of the system in the teaching profession. Letter D, issue, suspend, revoke, replace, or reissue professional teacher certificate and administer oaths. It means that they have the right to give or suspend professional teacher certificate or administer oaths. And of course, it is given to those who pass the examinations and are preparing to take their oaths. Letter E, appoint subject to the provisions of existing laws, such as officials and employees are necessary in the effective performance of its functions and responsibilities, prescribe their duties and fix their compensation. Next, letter F, prescribe and collect examination and other fees as it may deem proper. So they have the right to collect the examination fees. Letter G, promulgate rules and regulations and exercise such other powers, functions, and duties as may be necessary to carry into effect the purposes of this decree. So they are also entitled to have other powers that will be entitled or that will be under this decree. Next, passing the board examination. Talk Next, passing the board examination. Of course, as future educators, we all want to pass the board examination on our first try. But if luck is not on our side, still we should try and try until we succeed. And under the Presidential Decree number 1006, it grants that in order that a candidate may be deemed to have successfully passed the examinations, he must have obtained a general average of at least 75% in all subjects with no rating below 70% in any subject. So it means that when we took the exam, our grade or our score must be at least in the average of 75% in all subjects. And of course, with no rating below or not less than 70% in any subject. Because if our grade is 69 or something that is lower than 70, it means that we are not passed on the board examination. We are not qualified as a board passer. The highlights of Republic Act Number 7836, an act to strengthen the regulation and supervision of the practice of teaching in the Philippines and prescribing a board licensure examination for professional teachers and for other purposes. However, it is otherwise known as the Philippine Teachers Professionalization Act of 1994. This law transferred to the Professional Regulation Commission or the PRC the regulation and licensing of teachers on December 16, 1994, instead of the National Board for Teachers under the direct supervision of the Civil Service Commission. So this Republic Act number 7836 typically highlights the board licensure examination and the things that concerns on how a teacher will become a licensed professional teacher. Objectives of the Republic Act number 7836. First, the promotion and development and professionalization of teachers and the teaching profession. So, this Republic Act number 7836 aims to develop, enhance, and train teachers to become professionals and become more effective teachers in the teaching profession. Second, the supervision and regulation of the teacher's licensure examination. So another main objective of the RA number 7836 is the supervision and regulation of the teacher's licensure examination. They are monitoring, mandating laws and provisions with regards to the teacher's licensure examination. Next is the Board for Professional Teachers and its composition. It is stated here that the Board for Professional Teachers is a collegial body under the general supervision and administrative control of the Professional Regulation Commission or the PRC. So the PRC is the one assigned for the Board for Professional Teachers. Then, the chairman and the vice chairman of the board shall be appointed from these 5 members who shall be appointed by the President of the Philippines. So, our President is the one who will appoint the chairman and the vice chairman. Next, among the recommendees shall be the list of nominees selected by the Accredited Association of Teachers who duly possess all the qualifications prescribed in Section 8 of this Act. So, it is stated in the Section 8 that the recommendees for the chairman, for the position of chairman and vice chairman shall be the standard or the qualifications for the ones who will be appointed.
For my next topic, which is registration by reciprocity, punishable acts and penalties, highlights of Republic Act number 9233, requirements for registration to become a professional teacher, and the refresher course for non-practitioners. Registration by reciprocity. As a general rule, registration by reciprocity is not allowed. However, RA number P630 provides that no teacher of a foreign nationality shall be admitted to the examination or be given a certificate of registration or be entitled to any of the rights and privileges under this Act. So, sinasabi dito na walang mga dayuhang nasyonalidad ang maaaring makapag-exam at bigyan ng sertipiko ng registrasyon o makamit ang mga rights and privileges na nakapaloob dito sa act na ito. Unless the country or state of each of which he is subject permits Filipino professional teachers to practice within its territorial limits on the basis as subject or citizens of the said country or state, provided that the requirements of the certification of teachers with said foreign state or country are substantially the same as those required and contemplated under this act. Provided further that the laws of such state or country grant the same privilege to Filipino professional teachers in the same basis as a subject or citizens of such foreign country or state. Dito naman sa punishable acts and penalties of RA number 836 imposes that the following acts shall be punishable by a fine of not less than 5,000 pesos or more than 20,000 pesos, or imprisonment of not less than 6 months or more than 5 years of both at the discretion of the court. Letter A. Any person who practices the teaching profession in the Philippines without being certified in accordance with the provision of this act. So, di ba nga kailangan bago tayo mag-teacher, kailangan muna nating makapasa dun sa ating license source examination for teachers. So, letter B. Any person who represents or attempts to use as his own certificate of registration that of another. So, yun nga. Dito naman yung mga person na nag-a-attempt na gamitin ang certificate niya para magparehistro ng bago. Next, a person who gives false or fraudulent evidence of any kind to the board or any member thereof of obtaining a certificate of registration as teacher. O ito naman pumapaloob yung mga nandadaya at nagpapagawa sa rekto ng mga certificate. Any person who impersonates any registration of the same or different name. Halimbawa, yung mga nagpapagawa nga ng ginagamit yung pangalan ng iba or gumagamit ng ibang pangalan para maging teacher. Any person who uses a revoked or suspended certificate of registration. Ito naman yung mga teachers na gumagamit ng mga pasuna ng registration. Any person who is in connection with his name otherwise assume, uses or advertises any title or description tending to convey or conveys the impression that he is a teacher without holding a valid certificate. So, dito naman yung mga self-proclaimed na sila ay mga teacher na wala naman silang hawak na sila ay nakarehistro bilang isang professional teacher. Any person who violates or obeys the violation of any provisions of this act. So, yung mga dito nga nakapaloob yung mga nakapaloob nga dito, sila yung mga magkakaroon ng penalty kung gagawin nila yon. Moreover, nakalagay dito, the act specifies that the penalty or fine, imprisonment or both shall also apply to any school official who shall cause or be responsible for the commissions of any above enumerated act. So, ibig sabihin, hindi lamang teacher, kung hindi, pwede rin dito yung mga non-teaching force na nasa opisina ng isang school. Dito naman ang highlights of Republic Act number 9293 is the Philippine teachers' professionalization admitted to take the examination unless on the date of filing of the application he shall have complied. Act of 1994 provides the qualification requirements of applicants. So, ibig sabihin, makakapag-exam ka lamang kapag nakompleto mo ang mga hinihingi na requirements para ikaw ay makapag-take ng professional license or examination for teachers. So, dito naman, a graduate of a school, college, or university recognized by the government and possesses the minimum educational qualifications as follows. So, dito naman nakapaloob yung mga qualification upang ikaw ay makapag-take ng exam. So, nandito na nga yung for teachers in preschool, a bachelor's degree in early childhood education or BECED or its equivalent. Para naman sa mga secondary grades, a bachelor's degree in elementary education or BSEED or its equivalent. For teachers in the secondary grades, a bachelor's degree in education or its equivalent with a major and minor or bachelor degree in arts and sciences with at least 18 units in professional education, and for teachers of vocational and two-year technical courses, a bachelor's degree in the field is specialization or its equivalent with at least 18 units in professional education. So, sinasabi naman dito, nakapaloob dito yung mga requirements. Halimbawa, pag ikaw ay isang magiging secondary teacher, ay meron ka dapat major at minor, na kung saan meron ka dapat degree sa secondary grades at meron ka dapat 18 units in professional education. Gayon din kung vocational naman ang iyong ituturo o two-year technical courses, kailangan meron kang bachelor's degree in the field of specialization na kung saan halimbawa ikaw ay ang ituturo mo bilang vocation ay ang home economics na cookery. So ibig sabihin dapat meron kang degree or meron kang specialization na pinag-aralan tungkol sa iyong ituturo. So ito naman yung requirements for registration to become a professional teacher. Section 26 of RA number 7836 provides that no person shall engage in teaching, act as a professional teacher as defined in this act, whether in the preschool, elementary, or secondary level, unless the person is duly registered professional teacher and a holder of a valid certificate of registration and a valid professional license or a holder of a valid special temporary permit. So, ibig sabihin, hindi ka talaga matatawag na professional teacher o hindi ka makakapagturo kapag ikaw ay hindi nakapasa doon sa licensure examination for teachers. So, kailangan meron kang hawak na kung saan ikaw ay talagang professional teacher at ikaw ay nakarehistro bilang isang guro. So, however, ito namang Section 26 of RA number 7836 provide that upon approval of the application and payment of the prescribed fees, the certificate of registration and professional license as a professional teacher shall be issued without examination as required in this act to a qualified applicant who is, letter A holder of a certificate and eligibility as a teacher issued by the Civil Service Commission and the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. So, ibig sabihin, siya ay holder o meron siyang hawak ng certificate na siya ay magiging teacher na ito ay binigay ng Civil Service Commission and the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports. Or, a registered professional teacher with the National Board for Teachers under the Department of Education, Culture, and Sports or DEX pursuant to Presidential Decree number 1006. Nakapaloob naman dito sa refresher course for non-practitioners under Republic Act No. 9293 imposed that professional teachers who have not practiced their profession for the past 5 years shall take a refresher course or at least 12 units of education courses consisting at least 6 units of pedagogy and 6 units of content courses, or the equivalent training and number of hours to be chosen from a list of courses to be provided by the Board and Department of Education before they can be allowed to practice their profession in the country. So, ibig sabihin nito, na pag 5 years na tayong hindi nakakapagturo, ay kailangan natin kumuha ng refresher course na merong 12 units ng education courses at ito ay nakapaloob dito nga ay yung 6 na units of pedagogy and 6 units of content courses kung saan para makapagturo ulit tayo na kung saan ire-refresh lang yung mga napag-aralan natin kasi nga 'di ba 5 years is very long para ma-practice ulit natin ang pagtuturo. Thank you so much for listening.
So my next 5 topics is issuance of special permits to non-BLE PT passers, highlights of Republic Act number 7784, definition of teacher education excellence and center of excellence, center of development and center of excellence, and last is criteria for selecting center of excellence in teacher education. Issuance of special permits to non-BLEPT passers according to Republic Act Number 9293. Ang sabi dito, halimbawa, hindi ka nakapasa sa LET at kung hindi umabot sa pinakang average yung nakuha mong points na hindi bababa sa 5%, ay pwede kang maging isang para-teacher. Ang pagkakaunawa ko sa para-teacher kasi ay pwede kang mag-assist or mag-substitute sa teacher, lalo na dun sa mga kulang sa mga teacher. At ito ay mag-grant ng special permit in non-extended 2 years. 3 years yung validity ng permit, tapos yung kung mag-renew ka naman ay dapat hindi mag-extend sa 2 years bago ma-expire yung validity ng permit. Next is highlights of Republic Act Number 7784. Republic Act Number 7784, pinapaliwanag lang dito yung vision at mission ng isang professional teacher, yung dapat i-adapt nung isang teacher na dapat magtuturo, andun yung commitment, master of subject, and marami pang iba. Next is, what is the declared policy of the Act? So, ito namang Republic Act naman na ito ay ang isang teacher ay sanay o may sabihin na nating pinapatibay lalo yung kaalaman ng mga teacher para i-impart yung sa mga learners. Tapos, dapat ang mga teachers ay well-trained at ang edukasyon sa Pilipinas ay may iisang purpose, kundi ma-impart sa kabataan yung learning na meron sila, tapos yung mga karakteristik na dapat taglayin ng isang professional teacher, lalo na sa mga organization, kasama na din doon yung mga webinar. Next is definition of teacher education, excellence, and center of excellence. Republic Act Number 7784 clearly defines the following key terms. So, dito sa letter A, ang point niya ay dapat kapag teacher ka, dumaan ka sa isang or sa pre-service teacher, then dapat graduate ka syempre para makapagturo ka saka yung mga karanasan mo dito i-apply mo sa mga strategies na gagamitin mo sa mga students mo. Pwede rin dito yung mga nagmamasteral. And letter B is sinasabi na pag yung excellence daw ay pumapaloob dito yung quality ng program na teacher education at yung mga organization, webinar, at mga training na makakatulong sa teacher na maging effective and efficient siyang guro. Letter C is sinasabi naman dito na ang Center of Excellence ay kahit saan, pwede public, private, or any under ng education na siyang magme-maintain dun sa mga nakapasang teacher. Tapos kasama na nga rin yung mga characteristic ng teacher like integrity and commitment. Parang pinopoint lang dito ay yung Center of Excellence na maaaring makuha ng isang teacher through his or her journey na pagiging teacher. Next is Center of Development and Center of Excellence. Ayon nga sa CHED Memorandum Order Number 24, 2010, ang isang Center of Development ay ito daw ay tumutukoy sa isang programa sa education ng guro sa loob ng isang institusyon na may mataas na edukasyon na nagpapakita ng potential na maging Center of Excellence sa hinaharap or sa future. Next is criteria for selecting Center of Excellence in teacher education. As stated in Republic Act Number 7784, the criteria in identifying schools and colleges as centers of excellence in teacher education shall include the following. So, sinasabi lang dito yung mga may mga consideration or batayan nga sa pagpili ng Center of Excellence in Teacher Education, o yung sabihin natin mga program para ma-demonstrate yung excellent performance in all field, especially sa pagmaster ng subject. Letter A. Sinasabi lang dito yung pagtuturo ng isang teacher ay dapat angkla or based sa vision para masabing ito ay Center of Excellence for Teacher Education. Letter B. Dito dahil nga selected talagang i-measure yung kakayahan ng isang teacher na magturo at mag-adapt ng karakteristik ng isang professional teacher at dapat yung mga learners ay masasabing may natutunan talaga para masabing Center of Excellence siya. Letter C. Dito naman dapat yung school or institution na ay may libraries at maraming research na magagawa tulad ng mga laboratories basta more on makakatulong sa learners para masabing Center of Excellence yung school. Letter D. Dahil excellence nga dapat competent yung administration at yung mga staff and members ay harmonious yung ugnayan para masabing Center of Excellence. Next is letter E. Sinasabi naman dito na yung dahil kailangan ay excellence, so dapat makikitaan mo dito ng maayos or organized na plano tapos makatotohanan yung mga programs na may implement para may apply ng hindi lang learners pati na rin stakeholders. Letter F. Ito ay parang katulad lang nung letter E pero tungkol siya sa mga learners na dapat ay yung pangangailangan nila ay naiibigay in terms halimbawa ng materials, schools, and such. Letter H. So ayun, dito naman ay katulad lang din dapat makatotohanan yung mga service at makakatulong tulad ng outreach programs. Letter I. Dito naman ay dapat yung percentage ng nakagraduate ay dapat ay kinonsult sa Teacher Education Council. Ganoon na rin ang pag-i-implement ng ibang criteria and basta ang point dito ay dapat may payo or dapat alam ng Teacher Education Council.
Good day, everyone. Today we will learn about the enjoyment of privileges as Center of Excellence, objectives and functions of a Center of Excellence, grants and benefits of COE and COD, composition of the Teacher Education Council or the TEC, the regular members of the Council, criteria for the selection of regular Council members, and powers and functions of the Council. First is the enjoyment of privileges as Center of Excellence. As is stated in the Republic Act No. 7784, it lays down that any Center of Excellence that is established shall be maintained to at least 5 years before any proposal or review is made to transfer it elsewhere. So this Republic Act emphasizes that the designated COE shall be maintained for at least 5 years. On the other hand, according to the CHED Memorandum Order number 24 series of 2010, it requires that the designated COE and COD shall last for a period of 3 years and it shall take place from the date that the COE has been designated by the Commission. So, in this privilege, it is monitored by the CHED. So, upon their monitoring throughout the years, if they observe that some obligations or some responsibilities have not been fulfilled by the designated COE, the designation will be revoked. So, we will now go to the objectives and functions of a Center of Excellence. According to the Section 4 of Republic Act No. 7784, it specifies the objectives and functions of a Center of Excellence as follows. So, first, experiment and try out relevant and innovative pre-service in-service teacher education training programs. So, they aim to provide training programs that will enhance the skills, the abilities of the teachers in the teaching profession. Letter B, organize and coordinate collaborative research on identified areas for systematic investigation in teacher education as basis for improving teacher education programs. So, this second objective aims to provide another another program that will improve their system. Next, letter C. Serve as teacher resource center for curricular instructional materials development. Next is serve as the central node for networking specific disciplines in teacher education in the region. So in this specific objective, the connection or the network becomes wider and it aims to connect some specific disciplines in the whole region. Next, letter E. Provide professional assistance to teacher education institutions or the TEIs that have expressed the need for such assistance. Letter F. Encourage mutual support among TEIs in the region for upgrading and improving their programs. And last, facilitate and help expedite accreditation among TEIs. And now we will move on to the grants and benefits of COE and COD. COE stands for Center of Excellence and COD stands for Center of Development. CHED Memorandum Order Number 24 Series of 2010 guarantees that identified COEs and CODs for the teacher education program are entitled to the following grants and benefits. So first, priority in the selection of CHED or the Commission on Higher Education institutional partners with regard to CHED development projects. And letter B, entitled to the other non-monetary subsidies and awards such as faculty scholarships for graduate studies and priority for CHED research grants. So it is an advantage if you are chosen to become one of the priorities of the CHED for research grants. And letter C, availment of financial assistance support from CHED upon submission of project proposal. Another advantage is that the financial assistance, and it would be a great help and support for the COE and COD. Next is the composition of Teacher Education Council or the TEC. According to the Republic Act No. 7784, it spells out that the DepEd's Teacher Education Council or the TEC has the general task of developing teacher education policies and standards to improve pre-service training of teachers in the country. So it emphasizes their role in the policy making. Next, the Council builds a strong connection and collaboration between DepEd and CHED along this focus. Of course, the CHED or the TEC in making policies, they should still coordinate with the DepEd and the CHED to provide a policy that is still in line with the ones that is made by the DepEd. Next is the Section 5 of RA number 7784. It provides that there shall be a Teacher Education Council composed of 11 members, and it is composed of the Secretary of the Education, Culture, and Sports as ex-official chairman, and 3 other ex-officio members, namely a Commissioner of the Commission on Higher Education, CHED, a representative of the National Commission on Culture and the Arts, or the NCCA, and the chairman of the Professional Regulation Commission, PRC. So the above-mentioned positions are those that compose the Teacher Education Council. The regular members of the Council, again according to Republic Act No. 7784, it specifies that the 7 regular members of the Council who shall be appointed by the President of the Republic of the Philippines are as follows. So let us reiterate again that those 7 regular members are appointed. They were assigned by the President of the Philippines in the current year. Next, so the first one is there the three representatives of centers of teacher education, one from Luzon, one from Visayas, and one from Mindanao, who shall take into account the views of the parents, teachers, and community associations, learner associations, non-governmental organization, and people organizations concerned with basic education. So that is the first thing that we need to remember in order to specify or classify the members of the council, the regular members of the council. Next is one representative of science teachers. Next is one representative of the mathematics teachers, another representative from the social studies, and another one from the language teachers. So, seven. The three members mentioned earlier, and now these four others from science, math, social studies, and language. So, those are the seven regular members of the council. The council shall meet at least 4 times a year and hold other meetings at the call of the chairman or majority of the members. So those 4 meetings could be quarterly since it requires 4 meetings in a year. All regular members of the council shall hold for a period of 3 years. So a regular member has 3 years in position before another person takes his or her place. Next is the criteria for the selection of the regular council members. So, how does a teacher become a qualified regular council member? Again, according to Republic Act number 7784, it states that the criteria for the selection of the regular council members are as follows. First is the integrity. When we say integrity, a teacher must have the quality of being honest, being morally upright, and consistent in her or his work. Integrity is always associated with the word honesty in work, and everything that is related to the teaching profession. Next, letter B is expertise and experience in teacher education. Of course, it is a must that a teacher has an expertise on the teaching profession, because it will be a great asset for them in managing the whole council or the administration in the teaching profession. Next is the recognized as an expert nationally or internationally. It may be in terms of recognizing in terms of awards. For example, in research awards nationally and internationally, you are known in the whole country or even outside the country for an excellent work. Next is, of course, we have the willingness to serve. The willingness to serve will be great for a teacher, because even though the work or there are many loads of work, and even if the teacher or if the regular council members get started, still the willingness will be our driving force to continue on what we are doing. Then, last on our topic is the powers and functions of the council. In Republic Act number 7784, it provides that the council shall have the following powers and functions. So, letter A first, to identify and designate among existing private and public schools, teacher education institutions as centers of excellence for teacher education at the national, regional, and provincial levels. So, they are the ones who will designate among the schools in the whole province, in the whole region, and in the national level, who among them will be designated as centers of excellence, or the other one is centers of development, COD. Next, letter B, to formulate policies and standards that shall strengthen and improve the system of a teacher education in all existing public and private schools. So they have the power. It is their function to make policies, to create policies and standards that everyone will follow. And it shall aim to strengthen the system of teacher education. Next is initiate a periodic review of curricula and programs for teacher education and training through participatory methods such as self-assessment by institutions. Next is to adopt an adequate and effective system of incentives such as scholarship grants, loans, programs, subsidies, stipend, and other similar benefits and incentives in order to attract and encourage outstanding high school graduates, whether from public or private school, to pursue teacher education. So it means that they are the ones with the power to give, to allot funds, I think, for scholarship grants and other subsidies that will motivate high school graduates to pursue teacher education. Next is to encourage the establishment of consortia and other cooperative arrangement among teacher education schools, public or private, for greater efficiency and economy in the use of resources. Next is design collaborative programs or subjects that will enhance pre-service teacher training, in-service training, retraining, orientation, and teacher development. Next, to direct the conduct of relevant studies as may be needed in the formulation of policies and in the planning and successful implementation of plans, programs, and projects required in attaining the purpose of this act. So, that's it. The studies, it refers to some research and development when it comes to teaching profession, identifying the problems, creating solutions, and improving their system of education. Letter H, to review existing and recommend new legislation and policies of the government in order to improve teacher education and promote the welfare of teachers. In a world, we cannot deny that change is always there. We cannot avoid it, and there is always technological advancement. So, in the teaching profession, we should also adapt to these changes. And from the existing legislation, we can review it and recommend new legislation and policies that will surely improve the welfare of the teachers in the Philippines. Next is letter I, to recommend appropriate measures to the President, Congress, and heads of the other government offices and agencies to improve, enhance, and strengthen teacher education. So, this aims to connect and recommend the changes, the developments that we need in the higher positions of the government, like the President and the Congress. So the power of the council here is to become the voice of the teachers, so that we can have an enhanced and improved terms, or improved terms and development in the field of teaching profession. Next, lastly, is letter J, to call upon any department, bureau, office, or government corporation, local government unit, and other concerned agencies of assistance in areas falling with their mandate. It lies on activities, for example, is the fire drill. We can call the Bureau of Fire Protection to help us facilitate on some activities. And also some other government corporation and other local government unit that will surely help the facilitate that will surely help in facilitating the activities in the field of teaching profession. That's all for our report today. We hope that you understand and learned a lot from us. Thank you and see you next time.